Okay, step number 2. So at this point, we want to turn our dice into something that's got numbers on each side. We're going to use a couple of tools to do that. Firstly, dices tend to have dips in them, don't they? So we're going to put 1 on the top. 1 will go in the top, 6 will go in the bottom, and then it will go 2 and 4 and 3 and 5, or 2 and 5 and 3 and 4. True? I've got myself confused now. Okay, so now we want to start making our dice look like it's got numbers on the side. There's a couple of ways we could do this. We could do this with actual numbers that we write onto the side, or we could do it with dots. I would like you to try some of them at least with dots. So we'll start with that to begin with. On the top here, we will make a new sketch. So this time, because we've now got an object that we can base things around, we don't need to use the front, top, or right. We can actually use the surfaces of the object itself to make a sketch. So I'm going to click here to select this. And just like before, I'm going to draw a sketch. So I click on sketch. And then I'm going to look at it from the top so that I can see it easily. Now I want my circle to be right in the middle here. I'm deliberately going to draw it slightly off to one side so you can see how this works. So I'm going to draw my circle and click. And then if I press escape, now I need to drop this. So I can either go over and click it to let it go, or I can press escape. Now before I do that, I'm just going to set this to 1 so that it's a nice even size 1. Okay, now I'm going to press escape, and that's going to drop the tool. So now I can pick things up in my sketch. I've still got my sketch open, but now I can pick things up. Now if I pick this up, it's going to think that I want to change the size, but because I've locked it to a size, it won't let me do anything. So clicking and dragging on that's not doing anything. If I click on the center circle, I should be able to move it. I'm not using a mouse at the moment, so bear with me a second. I'll see if it works with the touchpad. There we go. So I can move that over, and then I can position it wherever I want. So I can get it really accurately placed onto that origin point. So I'm happy with it. Now, actually, I think that's too small. So I'm going to make that dot a little bit bigger. So I'm going to put 1.5. 1.5, just with a double click on there to make that a bit bigger. Okay, so I've got my shape positioned where I need it. It's not quite on the center, you can see there. So I might just pick that up again and see if I can get that spot on. Should snap to it. There we go. So it snapped to it that time. So now it's dot in the middle there, which is just what we want. So just like before, I can go back into my 3D view. Remember, I can turn it around. I can have a look at it from different angles. And this time I'm going to finish the sketch. Thank you very much. I'm done with that. And I want to extrude this, but I don't want it to come out. Remember, the extrude button is up here. I don't want it to come out. I want it to go inward. So I click on it, and it's going to assume that I want it to come out, but actually I want it to go the other side, inwards. So I'm going to come up here. Now you can see that I've got a part already. So this time it said, do you want to add to this surface? It's assuming that I want to add, but I don't. I want to remove. So I'm going to remove, but I don't want to remove that much. I don't want to take it that far in. So I'm going to move that further in. Let's just remove that, and we're just going to put it. I'm going to use the keyboard because, again, I said I wasn't using a mouse at the moment. I'm going to get one in a second. So if I do minus 0.5, let's see what that looks like. That's probably about right. So you can see it's removing, but it's not removing. It's just not going very deep. When I click tick, it's going to say thank you very much. So remove is here. Now, sometimes when you do this, if you've selected the outside edge rather than the face, it will try and make a surface for you. So that will look a little bit different. So if I click on surface, it deselects things. Now, if I select it, a surface will look hollow. It's making a new surface. You can see down here it says surface. And it'll look hollow. It won't work quite the same. So it's trying to make a new surface and it's going downwards. We want that to come upwards, not by 0.5, but by 2, just so you can see what it looks like. So it's got no top on it. It's just an outside face. We don't want that. We want it to be solid and remove. So make sure that you're on solid and remove when you do this. And we'll do minus 0.5, minus 0, minus 0.5. Was it 0.5 I did? Let's do 0.4. Okay, and I'm going to say thank you very much, and it's going to finish it off. When it finishes it off, it makes it into part of the shape, and it gets rid of the guidelines and the arrows. You can see now that I've got 2 sketches, both of them shaded out, and 2 extrusions. And if I ever want to get rid of anything, I can click on it, simply press the delete button, not the backspace arrow, but the delete button on your keyboard. It says delete on it. And then you will be able to have a second go at it. So you can go back into the sketch, edit it if you want, and then have another go at extruding it. So if ever these turn red, means it can't do it, then you can do that. Right, that's enough for now. Go and make your first side, your first hole inside there. I'll wait. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you've done that now. So the next thing is I'm going to go to the bottom. Now, we've not looked at the bottom of this shape before, but we're going to look at it now. So I'm going to go just down using the bottom option there to have a look at the bottom. I'm going to select this face. Just like before, I'm going to make a new sketch. And the sketch, you can see it says sketch 3 the other way up, and it's on that face. So I can go and have a look at the bottom now, as if I'm looking at it. And this time I want to draw 6 identical circles. But you know, the computer's going to have a way to pattern these really easily for me. I'm going to make these 1. That's going to be the right sort of size for me. And I want 6 of them. Before I do that, I'm going to position it roughly in the right place. So I'm going to press escape on the circle tool. So I'm back to having a white selection tool. And I'm just going to move that in using the touchpad on my computer and move it into where I think it will be about the right position. So about there. Okay. Having moved it, I'm happy with the position. I'm now ready to generate a pattern of lines. This is quite a cool little tool. So up here, we've got linear pattern. Remember, there are other options, okay, you could play around with, but at the moment, we're going to go for a linear pattern. When I select this line, it knows that I want to make a pattern out of that line. It's saying that I want 1 in this direction, which means that there's no pattern evident, and 3 in this direction. Well, actually, I'm going to double click here. I want that to be 2 in this direction, and that's too far out. So I'm going to pick up that arrow. I'm going to have to use my mouse pad again and drag it in. So it's about the same distance as the other side. And then I also want the arrows to come down this way, not be up. And I don't want 4, I want 6. So I'm going to go 3 here. Double click 3. And let's just move that. Now, it's worth noting at this point, I'm not going to show you how to do the other ones, but if I click on these squares, I can change the angles of this repeating pattern. So if you want to do 3 circles going in a line, you can do that using the square tool, which allows you to move or change the angles of the lines as well. So I've got 3. Let's press enter. We should have 3 dots. So you can see that's going too low at the moment. So I'm just going to decrease the distance there. I probably need to have a little bit of a look at that. But that'll do for now. And I'm going to say thank you very much. Now I've got my 6 holes ready to go. And remember, I'm looking at the bottom at the moment. So I've got to be clear on what I'm looking at. So just zoom in a little bit, not that much. That's too much. I'm trying to use my mouse pad. Okay, so I'm going to select back on my drawing tablet now. So I'm going to select these shapes up. First of all, I'm going to say I want to do the extrusion. And we already know how to do this. So I'm not going to describe it to you again. But this time, as I click options, I just need to left click them. Oh, I've clicked the wrong one. I can just click it again to deselect it. And if I'm careful, I can select all 6. And again, I want to remove. Now you can see here the power of this software. It knows I want to do all of these sketches that are listed down here. And I'm going to do the same action to them all. So we can have a look at how far that is dragged in. I'm just using the interactive handle here. And we just want 0.4 like we had on the top. So I'm going to go and type that in because it's easier. Now I could do something like put a draft angle on it to make it narrower, and I could make that a greater degree. We could have a play around with it. I'm going to leave it as it is for now. And I'm going to tick thank you very much. And that's my 6 done. So I've now got 6 on the bottom and 1 on the top. Now I'm not going to do any more on my dice apart from one where I'm going to write the number instead of put dots, just so that you've got that skill. So you can go and do that now. Okay, so this last little demo, instead of making a sketch and making a dot like I've done before, I'm going to use the text tool. So I've made a sketch on this front face just whilst I was talking. And here is my text tool. So I can click where I want the text to go. And I can say roughly the size. Now I can type in the text that I want. So in this case, I'm going to type in 3. You can see I've got different fonts that I can use, but I'm just going to leave it like that for now. I'm going to click thank you. Now I could move that around and play around with it. I'm not going to right now, but just as before, I can go and select that outline. I'm going to need to zoom in a bit to do that. Oh, remember, it zooms in on where your mouse is, so you need to be careful with that. So let's just see if we can select the whole of that 3 shape. There we go. And I'm going to do an extrusion. So I'm going to remove material by 0.4, just like the other sides, and click thank you. And that's it. Finished and ready to go. So you can have a go at that one as well if you want. I'm going to stop this video here. We'll pick it up again in the next video, where we're going to add a little flourish and something nice to our dice.